What if I told you Mormons are actually the real Chinese? Sounds pretty crazy, right? But hear me out. The first time I stepped into the LDS conference center, I felt a strange deja vu. I was like, why the heck I'm back to China? Like I'm in Beijing's People's Conference Hall. Look at the same towering pillars, the same symmetrical seating, same grand stage. And if you swap the organ for red flags, you would not know if you are in Salt Lake City or Beijing. And it's not just the architecture. The deeper I looked, the more I realized Mormonism and China have way more in common than you think, from their organizational structure, rituals, culture, ideology, or even beauty standards. So today, let's break down why Mormons might be the best made in China that's not made in China. It is wild how two opposite groups, one religious, one political, ended up with nearly identical power structures. Ironically, as a Chinese, I never fully grasped how China's political system worked until I studied the Mormon Church. It turns out both operate with strict pyramid structure, where authority flows from a single leader down through strict layers of hierarchy. In the Mormon Church, it's the apostle at the top, quorum of the 12, quorum of the 70, area authorities / presidency, stake presidents, bishops, and finally, you at the base. China's power structure mirrors this almost exactly. At the top is not apostle, of course. His official title is the General Secretary and President of the Communist Party of China. Then, Politburo Standing Committee, China's version of the Quorum of the 12. The Politburo, the Central Committee, deputies to the National Congress, then regular party members. Both systems operate with this tight top-down governance, ensuring tight control. The only difference? One rules the soul, the other rules 1.4 billion people. But either way, you are allowed to raise your hands and sustain. But power isn't just about who is at the top. It's about how people are managed at the base. And this is where things get even more interesting. Trust me, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Like Mormons are assigned to wards based on where they live. Chinese are grouped into work units based on where they work. Americans are like, what is work unit? It's basically your Mormon ward because both serve as localized administrative units to keep people organized, whether spiritually or professionally. And for every Mormon function, there is a Chinese counterpart. Just like each ward has a bishop, each Chinese work unit has a secretary. They're just different names, but both function as father figures, ensuring everyone is cared for. Mormon women attend Relief Society. Chinese women have the Women's Federation. Both train women in family values, whether through church teachings or party doctrine. Mormon children attend primary. Chinese kids join the Young Pioneers. Both are places for children to learn about Jesus or Marx. Mormon youth gather in YSA. Chinese youth enter CYL, Communist Youth League. Both socialize and train in gospel or ideology. Worthy Mormon adults wear temple garments. Model Chinese children wear red scarves. Whether wear it under your shirt or on your neck, both are sacred symbols of devotion to the church or the party. Mormons have the General Conference in April and October. China has the Two Sessions Conference in spring and fall. Both will hear men in black suits telling you how to run your life or run your country. Basically, no matter your age, gender, or marital status, you are never alone because the Church or China is always watching you.
Nice.
At first, I wondered who copied whom, but then I realized it's not about copying. If history teaches us about one thing, it's that Mormons and the Chinese always keep doing the same thing. And somehow, those two always pull off the ultimate comeback. And they're more dramatic than any Hollywood plot or key drama twist. The Mormon Church did not start with $1 billion in its portfolio. It started with persecution. And so did the Chinese Communist Party. Both groups were hunted down, nearly wiped out, and left with no choice but to run. Just like the Mormons who fled west trekking 13,000 miles to Utah, the Chinese communists, after severe persecution, launched the Long March, walking 4,000 miles north, losing most of their people along the way. But miraculously, those two of the world's best long-distance runners both survived. And today, the Mormons built an empire bigger than most hedge funds. China became the world's second largest economy, eyeing the US throne. Did they just stop there? Oh, heck no. Mormons are replenishing the earth through missionary programs. China is reshaping the world through the One Belt, One Road project. You can just think this project as an economic missionary program. And somehow, they end up in the same place again, this time in Africa. While Africa became the church's fast-growing region, China became Africa's largest trade partner. So if you visit Africa today, you will see two types of foreigners. Mormon missionaries in white shirts spreading the gospel, and Chinese workers in PPE laying bricks and building railways. Once again, Mormons and the Chinese get you covered, both your soul and your infrastructure. Their stories showed us, if you're struggling, skip the overpriced self-help gurus. Instead, persevere like the Mormons and Chinese, because just as the Bible says, blessed are the persecuted. And if you endure to the end, God will either bless you with $1 billion or turn you into a superpower. Amen. Maybe those uncanny similarities come from their shared historical DNA of persecution and survival. When you're constantly fleeing and rebuilding, you learn one thing very fast. You have to be really, really frugal and work very, very hard. But for Mormons and Chinese, hard work isn't just an ethic, it's an ideology. Mormons believe grace is not free, salvation needs to be earned, and hardships exist to help us grow. While mainstream Christians might struggle with this view, ancient Chinese philosophers would be thrilled to find their long-lost Christian twin. Confucius would clap his hands and say, "Wow, behold, I cannot believe ye Americans would agree that success requires suffering, just like we Asians." To prove his point, let me read some classic verses from both ideologies. First, Book of Mormon, Alma 36:3. Whosoever shall put their trust in God shall be supported in their trials, troubles, afflictions, and shall be lifted up at the last day. Confucius, eat the bitter of the bitter, and you will rise to the top of the top. If you can read 19th century English and ancient Chinese, you will know they're basically same meaning, different fonts. And there's more. Mosiah 23:21. The Lord sees fit to chasten his people. He tried their patience and their faith. Mencius, Confucius' star student. When heaven assigns someone a great task, it first hardens their mind, exhausts their body, and tests their patience for the great plan. You see, both Mormons and Chinese embrace the same formula for life. Suffer now, blessings later. Maybe. I guess that's why Chinese adults can endure the 996 work schedule. Basically, it means start working at 9 a.m., finishing at 9 p.m., and repeat 6 days a week, just like Mormon missionaries' schedule. Chinese kids do the 611 schedule. You start your school at 6 a.m. and finish at 11 p.m. Just like the Mormon kids at 6 a.m. seminary on top of school, because 3 hours of church on Sundays isn't enough. Kids need church cram schools like seminary, institute, and summer camps to help them better learn. So who said only Asians do the cram school? Mormons also. With that type of work ethics, Chinese and Mormons would probably tell you, life is a grind, suck it up. But why do they have to suck it up? Because neither the Mormon church nor Chinese public schools believe in hiring janitors. Chinese kids clean their own classrooms from the time they're barely taller than a broom, just like old Mormon grandmas are still scrubbing church floors when they could barely walk. Some Mormons ask, why can $1 billion church afford janitors? Just like a few Chinese question, why can the world's second largest economy hire custodians? I say the answer isn't about money. It's about teaching obedience and hard work. So you develop the grit to read an entire library that your church or country has prepared for you. Regular Christians get only one book, the Bible, but Mormons get a long reading list. The Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenant, Pearl of the Great Price, Ordinances and Proclamations, plus the never-ending conference talks that you can read from 1830 until you die. And Chinese, same deal. In addition to Communist Manifesto, the cornerstone of our ideology, like other communist countries, we also need to read and study Mao's thoughts, Deng's theory, Jiang's three representative theory, Hu's scientific outlook on development, and Xi's the governance of China, plus the never-ending speeches and party meetings to study, ponder, and discuss. Just like the Mormons. With so much to study, no wonder both Mormons and Chinese place a huge emphasis on education. Otherwise, how do you even finish the reading? Honestly, if the Mormon church had a gender and race, it would definitely be an Asian tiger mom, obsessed with perfection. Because tiger moms don't ask, they tell. Like they already know what's the best for you. Do this, do that, but only by my command. Piano, math, scriptures. Pray 5 times a day and I will count. And even if you do everything, it's still not enough. You only got 99? Why are you so stupid? You're not going to college or the celestial kingdom. The reason it sounds so Asian or Mormon is because both Asian and Mormon cultures demand perfection, where no matter how much you have achieved, it's never enough. Like, a Chinese girl might be stick thin already, but still feel very fat. A Mormon woman can do everything and beyond, but still feel unworthy of the celestial kingdom. I mean, if worthy Mormons cannot make it to the top tier of the heaven, that's like a top Chinese student being rejected from Harvard. That's not bad luck. That's systemic discrimination. And what does the tiger mom do facing those injustices? Oh, she doesn't whine. She trains you even harder for perfection through more obedience. Because she knows obedience isn't just a virtue, it is survival. Because the system where power trickles down, obedience flows up depends on it. Without obedience, you cannot achieve perfection, and the whole pyramid would collapse. So with the paramount importance of obedience, it has to be ingrained from childhood, shaping not just your behavior, but forming your identity. For Chinese kids, their first lesson in life isn't alphabet. It's their parents' mantra, 听话, which literally means obey me. At school, Chinese teachers don't just educate, they train. Kids are taught to sit, dress, and think the same way. So by the time they grow up, they are ready to become loyal citizens who follow the party's golden rule. Forever follow the party and never go astray. For Mormons, same training, but different execution. Since day one, children sing Follow the Prophet on repeat. The words of wisdom is more of words of obedience. You can drink sugar-loaded energy drinks or soda, but not coffee, even though caffeine is just caffeine and they keep you alert. Even fashion choices can train obedience. Oh yes, just like Asians, Mormons also have uniforms. Mormon men wear white shirts and women wear modesty. No shoulders, no miniskirts, no hot girl style. Just wear obedience. So when Mormon kids become obedient adults, they will forever follow God and the church. And just like China, Mormon history is carefully curated. And China, the official media channels make sure everything is a heroic success story. In Mormonism, the church-approved content ensures everything is faith-promoting. So I guess whether you're in Beijing or Utah, obedience isn't just a virtue, it's a way of life. But don't get me wrong, tiger moms or tiger churches aren't that bad at all. They instill structure, stability, and success. But there's one big trade-off: lack of diversity and individuality. Like, why Mormons always ask me, why do Asians all look the same? Well, I have the same question. Why do white Mormons all look the same? And they will continue to ask, why do Asian girls get so much plastic surgery? I ask, then why does Salt Lake City have more plastic surgeons per capita than LA? They ask, why do you work so hard to get your graduate degree? I was like, why do you date so hard to get your Mrs. degree? They will ask, why are Asian women so obsessed with big eyes and want to look like we white people? I ask, then, why are Mormon women so obsessed with blonde hair and want to look like the whitest people? Comment down below why. I find it ironic that despite America's diverse beauty ideals, Mormonism, a classic American religion, enforces a rigid beauty standard just like Asians. In China and Mormonism, beauty is not just about looking good. It's about fitting the mold. In Asia, the ideal woman is skinny, pale, and pure. By Mormon beauty standards, the ideal woman is fit, tanned, and innocent. But why is beauty such a high-stakes game in both cultures? So much so that women are willing to go under the knife, inject chemicals into their bodies, or even treat their God-sent features with surgically achieved perfection, just to look delicate, gentle, and most importantly, submissive? I guess in any culture, fitting into the universal beauty standards rewards you with a pretty privilege. But in Mormon and Asian culture, not fitting in doesn't just make you look unattractive. It comes with real-life consequences. In East Asia, failing to meet beauty standards can cost you a lot of opportunities. Companies or your future mother-in-laws openly reject women for looking unrepresentable. In Mormon culture, looking un-Mormonly good can cost your future because dating is a Mormon girl's real job interview. Not fitting the beauty standard means fewer dates, fewer marriage prospects, and ultimately no tickets to the celestial kingdom. So you cannot afford to be ugly in both cultures. When beauty is tied to life quality or even eternal salvation, is it really surprising that women flock to plastic surgeons and hair salons? And all those efforts to look good is for whom? Of course, for MEN. It makes perfect sense when both Mormon and Chinese culture exist in deeply conservative and patriarchal systems where a woman's value and even her purpose in life is defined by men. In Chinese tradition, men are the head of the family and women are expected to follow and support. The most noble Chinese woman is the one who sacrifices all she has for the family. In Mormonism, marriage and children are a woman's highest calling, that her salvation literally depends on her husband and children. And sure, you can argue that both cultures are very family-oriented, but let's be real, men still come first. Mormon boys get way more youth activities and leadership opportunities than Mormon girls. Many Chinese families still favor sons over daughters. Chinese women retire 5 years earlier than men, not as a privilege, but because society sees them as less productive workers than men. And of course, no matter how faithful or capable she is, a Mormon woman would never be allowed to become president of the church or give her sick son a blessing. For all the pressure to please men, you would think the system would at least train women to be bedroom overachievers, just like they train them in other areas. But nope. In both Mormon and Chinese cultures, sex education is either incomplete or just straight up non-existent. Mormon and Chinese parents share the same approach. Pretend sex doesn't exist until you need a grandbaby. And when you grow up in a culture where no one really tells you how sex really works, misinformation and ignorance spread like wildfire, burning women and men with shame, naivety, and trauma. That's why you get Provo horror stories like newlywed Mormon couples thinking that you can get pregnant from praying together in bed, locking your hands. Meanwhile, a shocking number of Chinese women ask, what does ovulation feels like? And would even upload pictures of their discharge for online advice. Well, when your parents tell you babies come from armpits, it's no surprise nobody knows how anything really works. And thanks to the infamous TikTok rumors about Provo floating, now people keep asking me if BYU students really do it. I can only say I've only floated in the Provo River once. In a tube. Is that what you're talking about? I have to admit, Nowhere has helped me understand my Chinese heritage better than the LDS Church. As a kid, I never really understood why we Chinese burned paper offerings to the dead because they are already dead. Some families even arranged weddings for the deceased. But those ancestor worship rituals started making a lot more sense when I learned that Mormons dedicate expensive temples to baptizing dead people, sealing marriages, and performing endowment sessions for the dead people too. That gave me a lot of relief, knowing that we're not the only ones obsessed with dead people. The only difference between Chinese and Mormons offer spiritual salvation, Chinese provide material possessions. Recently, Chinese funeral offerings have expanded beyond paper money. We now burn paper iPhones, paper yachts, paper mansions, and even paper hot girls for our deceased grandpas. Maybe next time they will FaceTime us with their latest paper iPhone from the spirit world and let us know how their baptism went. Hopefully they're in a happy eternal marriage with their new paper wife. I guess whether you're in Beijing or Utah, the dead are being well taken care of. Once again, Mormons and Chinese have all the afterlife needs covered, spiritually and physically. That's why we need each other. I know your chin has probably dropped so many times hearing so many similarities, but here is another one before you go. Brigham Young had about as many wives as a Chinese famous emperor Zhu Yuanzhang. The noble Chinese emperor actually preferred monogamy, but was forced by tradition to take multiple wives and concubines. Sounds familiar, right? Brigham Young also said polygamy was also a commandment, not necessarily his personal preference. So for anyone struggling with the church's polygamy past, maybe just think of it this way. Polygamy is just Mormons being the real Chinese. After all, both individual Mormons and Chinese are lovely, decent people. They're hardworking, devoted to family, and committed to living by high standards. And I have very high respect for both. Now, I want to hear from you. Why do you think Mormons and Chinese are so similar? Comment down below with your thoughts. And I definitely hope neither China or the church coming after me because that would be really scary. So please subscribe to see if I'm still alive. Thank you. Bye bye.